life-changing adventures, offshore cruising, and somewhat unlimited capability. Ladies and gents, this is the Nordhavn N68. We're going to be having a fun day today, you and me. We're going to go right through this boat, and then in the next video, we're going to be doing a very detailed sea trial. We're going to be deploying the tender. We're going out to sea, and we're also doing some parking and maneuvering demonstrations. So for those of you who have a very serious come with me into the sun, life-changing adventure in mind. For those of you who are serious about your trawler yachts, essentially, welcome to the global standard of trawler yachts, in my personal opinion anyway. If anyone thinks about a trawler yacht, or most people in the market these days, they're going to think about a Nordhavn. And I would argue that the N68 profile is that quintessential look. Aft station or aft pilot house. We've got tender storage up on the bow. It just looks like a little super yacht. It feels like one, but it's also a vessel that is capable to be managed by a couple, should you choose, and we will prove that in the next video. My name's Dan Jones. Welcome to sunny Queensland. It's the end of summer here. It's beautiful, and yeah, this is going to be fun. So we're going to start up here on the Flybridge. Oodles and oodles of space. You can even option this area with a hot tub should you choose. These vessels are all about redundancy. They're all about high quality, and they're all about off-grid, reliable living, I guess is one terminology I'm trying to use that everyone will understand. What does that mean? Shaft drive diesel. It's a full keel vessel. It's got stabilization. It has both paravane, which we're going to demonstrate in the next video, and it's also got active fins. We have a wing engine for redundancy. We've got hydraulic bow and stern thrusters, multiple amount of wing stations. So it really is designed to run off-grid reliably, remotely as you wish. So don't think of this boat, as you may see on many of my other boats on my channel, as a day boat. It's more of a mothership, and it's much more of a vessel that you're going to achieve some life-changing adventures with. So what's this? This is actually the dry stack exhaust, guys. So if you just have a quick look in here, instead of running raw water through a heat exchanger, we actually have a closed loop on this system. We got a John Deere straight shaft drive, 425 horsepower. Sorry about the helicopters. It is Sunday. And we got a closed loop keel cooled engine. And so the exhaust is actually just running straight out the top here. Much better for ultra longevity of your engine. So if you want to get tens of thousands of hours reliability on your diesel engine, that's the system that you might opt to use, because it's going to give that to you. So much more reliable than perhaps something that's more of a day boat focus. So yes, this Flybridge could be enclosed with clears, but you don't necessarily need to do this in this part of the world, because we're going to go downstairs in a second and you will see why. But beautiful amount of seating. We actually have a fridge. We've got a prep station. We've got a sink just there. And then we've got full controls. We don't have a wheel up on the Flybridge. I'm sure you could option that, but we can control it using the autopilot, and you can see main engine and wing engine, both John Deere's, and some essentially you do you with the multifunctional displays and the electronics. This is a current in-build model, but this actual boat, it's over 10 years old. So if you want something that's quality, something that's going to last with you, you will get a bit of an understanding of what you're seeing on board, because this is over 10 years old. So up on the roof, we've got a full solar array. We've got multiple radars, our GPS and our communications and our VHF. You can also see the top guy, which is the support for the paravane. This is a manual form of stabilization, allowing us to sit at rest without the boat requiring genset and using extra power for stabilization via active fins, as an example. You may or may not notice we actually have surf at the bar today. A southerly system is coming through, so we have deliberately anchored it in this location for you to see what the momentum is like, because weight and momentum is your friend in a style of vessel like this, as opposed to lightweight and light construction and design, which you see on some other vessels. I know many of you who are going to be Nordhavn fans will totally appreciate this. So I'm somewhat talking to the people who haven't yet discovered this concept of cruising yet. But well, actually, one of my mates who's on board with us today, he's just downstairs, he's crossed oceans in a Nordhavn N68. And to put it into perspective, they had waves or water filling the cockpit halfway up the back window, and then it's just draining out casually, safely, and they made it to their destination. You're not going to attempt that on many boats out there. It's just not even an option. So come on down. What we'll do, we might just quickly run through the bridge. Marley, thank you for standing watch. It's a busy day today, so we didn't want to just leave the helm. So essentially, as it's up to you how you want to option this space, but you can see we've got 1, 2, 3 multifunctional displays. This is actually a computer system. We would have space for more. All of your ship systems. We do have hydraulics for the thrusters. So that's variable speed, hydraulic, bow and stern thrusters. They will run off the main engine. However, if you're going to be parking the boat, it's wise to fire up the wing engine and get extra power for the hydraulics, because then you're going to be able to rely on them. You can actually just set it on side push and it will hold the boat into the dock. So these levers will actually stay in place. So you may notice that when I move it, it doesn't come back to the center line, which is the case on many variable speed thruster systems you see me operate on the channel. So this is for main engine. This is for the wing engine. This is your track stabilization. This is allowing us to operate the anchor windlass, which also has control from up on the bow. We're going to go up there in a second. All of our communications, wind, we've seen our fresh water system, grey and black water, wing engine, main engine. This gives us a very clear display of all of our bilge operation. You can get a good profile on the vessel just there. And this is allowing us to activate hydraulics as we need. Bilge pump system monitors are just up there. And then all of our fuel valve controls. We have storage all around. The storage is amazing on this boat. This is a useful place for doing some of your charting. These seats are perfect because you will be spending a lot of your time here on watch, not necessarily steering the boat. We did do a bit of manual driving, but it's a different momentum. It's a different mindset operating a vessel like this, because you're cruising at 7 knots on average. So dangers and other things close on you at a much more relaxed speed. So for your necessity to maintain situational awareness of driving a boat like this, it's akin to sailing a sailing yacht. It's quite relaxing because everything happens at manageable speeds, which allows your mind to catch up. So we've got 24 volt DC. We've got more downstairs, which I'm going to show you in terms of starting up the vessel. We go into more detail on that on the next video. Storage, we got some power just here. As you may notice, it's all been blacked out all around. So from reflections and a visibility perspective, it's really, really good. We can actually have good viz outside and nothing shining in your face. This area here, it's optional. So you can choose to actually have this as a skipper's cabin. So it can be an enclosed cabin. You'll still have a window here so you can see through. And that's one option. But this particular boat was set up in a more social function. So we have this wraparound seating. We've got chart drawers underneath the floor here. So you can put all of your charts. And just behind, we have an off-watch berth. I'll jump in it for perspective. I actually did have a little kip in this yesterday because it's our second day on the boat. And it's very comfortable. And you've even got some blinds, which will pull down here and here and here. So you can close the area off if you want to be in the shade, or if you want to just black it out for a kip, totally fine. And if you want to actually do some proper office work, you can set up this area. You've got possibility to store all your boat manuals just in here. And then behind that is going to be the dry stack exhaust that we had a look at before. But this area seems quite logical as a bit of an office because we've got charging points. We've got this swing out seat just here, storage in here, and we even have a little drinks fridge in here, so you don't have to go downstairs to the galley to grab a drink. More storage, and we have a head in here. So that's super, super handy. If you went for the option, excuse me, if you went for the option with the skipper's cabin, you'd also have a little shower in here, but this is just a day head as we see at the moment. So what we'll do, we'll rip around the aft deck just here, because this is one of your locations to enjoy the sunset basically, but it's worth noting. So the Flybridge extending out to here protects this whole area, and it's massive. So I'll just quickly pace it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's about 6 meters. It's ginormous. It's a great location for having a meal. You could easily put director's chairs, 1, 2, 3, 4 there, no worries. And this is adjustable up and down. We've got downlights overhead. You can see our life raft deployment just on the starboard side here. And we've got a better view of the paravane stabilization. So this is one location for you to relax, but we have more. We're going to keep moving forward. It's worth pointing out that these doors will split. The idea behind that is that you can close the bottom one in inclement weather, and it still gives you a bit of safety margin if you were getting water on the decks. Wing stations, we cover this in more detail than in the next video when we actually operate this for you, but we have multiple wing stations. So we have starboard and port up here on the bridge, but we also have another one downstairs. We can drive the boat from up on the Flybridge and on the bridge here. So there's quite a few options. Deep storage for extra fenders and lines. I've forgotten what's in here. Let's just have a look. Okay, more storage. That's actually quite deep, so that's good probably for cleaning gear. Same again on the port side. I'll just quickly show you. Boom, boom. That's the other wing station. And if you have a look in here, it actually says petrol. It's not a petrol boat. That is actually the tank for your tender operation. So we're able to bunker fuel for your tender. We have a 1,000 kilogram crane. That's for the tender lift just here, and we can deploy the tender over the side. Let's go and have a look at that now. So pop down. I'll actually close this after you, Blaine, just for keeping everything looking tidy. So, as I said, you use a vessel like this as a mothership. You change your mindset about cruising at that 6, 7, 8 knots cruising speed, and you just do 3,000 miles instead of 30. And when you get to your destination with nobody else there, because let's face it, you're probably the only one that had the range to get there, that's when you're going to deploy your toys, put your paravanes out, and set up in off-grid mode. A boat like this with her fuel capacity, we've got 11,800 litres of diesel on board in about 5 tanks, Blaine? Was it 5 or 6?
6 in total.
6 tanks. So we've got fuel polishing systems, fuel transfer. We're going to cover that later on in the video. But in terms of your ability to stay off grid for long periods of time, if you were on anchor, you could just be utilizing the tenders as your car and then have your toys here. So this is an aluminium tender, which we will demonstrate deploying in the next video. And we can also put a smaller tender in this rack on this side. So just imagine something like an offshore cruising tender, for example, would go quite nicely here. And then even on the center line, I would argue that, if you wanted to put some wing dingers, if you wanted to put some stand-up paddle boards, that's not a problem. But if you're, say, a surfer and you want to use this as your platform for cruising the Mentawai Islands, I would actually just install some racks down aft, and I'm going to show you where I would suggest that might work, so you don't even need to drag the surfboards all the way up to the bow here. So you have options. This hydraulic crane is operated via remote. We demo that in the next video. It has been designed for you on both starboard and port to board via a boarding ladder that slots in here down onto the tender when you deploy it. Yes, that's doable. If you're a little bit old and dodgy on your feet, you don't have to do this. I would suggest if you just have a long painter line on the bow of your tender, I'd actually just let it drift back to the back of the boat. And I'm going to show you where I would suggest that you board without having to stress yourself out about this distance just here. So it's one option, but it's not totally necessary. So just think that one through and what's going to work for yourself. So we have deck wash just in here. Sorry about some of the dirt. We have been cruising the boat. It's second day out. So dual bow roller. So you can see we've actually got a snubber. We haven't deployed the snubber today because we're just here temporarily. Excuse me. But this is our hydraulic anchor windlass. This is the brake just here. It can be operated via the foot pedals, and just come and get a look at the overhang. It's a massive, great big setup here, overly built. And then with this amount of overhang, even if the anchor is coming up swinging around a bit, it's not going to hit the bow. It's very much a system that can be operated with minimal people. We have access into the anchor well. I'm actually just going to open this one up so you can see this is obviously been boat stuff. Okay, so just pop the camera down there for a quick look. It's massive, it's voluminous. You know, in some countries, crew would sleep down there. I don't think we'd be doing that here, but you get the idea. A lot of space, very, very impressive. And this area is also dammed. So when you are bringing up muck from the chain and you hose it off, it's actually going to go down through these drains on all three sides. It's not actually going to make its way onto the foredeck here. These two hatches, and then you can see on the side, we will be able to marry them up when we go downstairs into the accommodation. You can see essentially how they operate as escape hatches. Yes, it could be ventilation, but you have other ventilation options. So I'd argue that it's potentially not necessary. So in terms of securing lines, we actually have forward, midships, and then further up, we have many, many options. It is a big, heavy boat, so you do want them. But come on down. Let's make our way down the port side. Now, this particular design, it's centerline. So we have a passageway on both port and starboard. You can option these to be offset. So that gives you a little bit more space internally in the saloon, but you then have no access down the side. So you just got to think about how you're going to operate the vessel. I'm just going to point out that design here allows this door to fully open. Same design, it's a split door, so you can just open the top. There's access for cleats as well. And what I was talking about, that's what I needed to do, is if you didn't want to board the tender up on the bow, as I was discussing before, I would argue that this might be the location to do it, because you've actually got a step in here. So that's actually quite comfortable to hold on. And there's another step here. Look how thick this rubbing strip is. It's thicker than my foot, okay? And then you've got a massive big strip of stainless protecting it externally. And then this makes life easy. Obviously, it's designed for you to board at the dock as well, but I'm just making that point about the tender. So if you wanted to evacuate large volumes of water coming on board because you were doing a Pacific crossing and you're at a big, massive storm, just come down here. Can you see, Lane? So see this? That's what happens. So it allows the water to go out, but this elastic here stops it from coming back in. I want you to pay attention as we make our way around the boat, how many of these there are, and just imagine the volume of water that can evacuate through those ports. So when my mate Marley is crossing oceans, as he has in the past, just come on, no joke, the water from a big, massive wave in the ocean was up to here on the door. These are waterproof doors, so it's not a problem. So they were inside, maybe having a coffee, I don't know, we'll have to ask him. And the green waves are bubbling up on this side, and within a few seconds, they just see it go blub, 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 blub. That's the difference, guys. It's a serious, capable offshore vessel. You can't achieve that on other designs, many of which you see on my channel, because they're not designed for that purpose. Every boat has a purpose, and this one has its mission. So another view of the paravanes. In terms of deployment, we'll actually show you in the next video. All you're doing is essentially releasing this aft guy, and then you're allowing it to swing forward. Also, you just want to pull in the main line and then just retrieve the paravane. So we have this rope here that allows us to pull it in. It's big piece of stainless steel. It's a little bit heavy, so maybe leave it for the boys. But it's actually, once you've done it a couple of times, when we looked at it for the first time, we're like, oh, this could be a bit of a drama. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And when you consider the amount of diesel you are saving long term, it's a good idea. So coming out of the transom, big enough, not too big. I like the fact that it's not a huge, big, protruding swim platform, because if it's a proper trawler, if we're going to call it an expedition vessel, perhaps we don't want big, massive waves making their way straight onto the aft deck in a following sea. So this is going to stop a lot of that in most scenarios. Yes, as I've discussed, when the waves get big enough, they'll just come into the cockpit. That's why you design a boat like this, so it actually doesn't matter all that much. But in terms of just general usage, it makes a lot of sense. This allows your hot and cold shower. This is actually a unique design, I haven't seen this before, of telescopic swim ladder deployment. So you've got plenty of areas to hold on to. It's quite solid, and essentially when you deploy it, you just go up, push it out, release it like so. Got an emergency just there. You feel quite secure. We've actually got the Glendenning shore power retractor system. We've got two here, so we can plug in the air conditioning and run it on shore should we wish. TV connection as well. These vessels will be fine for global cruising, so they will handle 240 volt in Europe and Australia, and they'll also handle 110 volt in America, so you don't need to worry about that if you intend on crossing oceans, which I hope you do. So this is the aft wing station, just here. One thing you need to remember when you're operating the wing stations, that you don't have rudder control on this particular boat. So you need to center the rudder, and then you've got control with the thrusters and the throttle just here. It's a different sensation. It's a different feeling when you have so much boat in the water as opposed to on the water. So the tide will have more of an effect than the wind often. And as you may or may not notice, the sensation is gentle and it's relaxing. So if you intend on spending a long, long period of time, or if you have people that are susceptible to seasickness, they're going to actually be very comfortable on a vessel like this, because its momentum through the ocean is such that it's not jarring you. I've done a lot of sailing on, say, multi-hull sailing vessels, high-performance sailing vessels, which is great fun. But it's also quite exhausting, because the acceleration and the deceleration and the reaction to every single wave, it actually has an effect on your body and your energy levels. You can also say the same for powerboats. So if you have some of these lighter weight hybrid powerboats, which I've also spent a decade or more selling and cruising myself, they're great for that purpose. But if you want to then take them out in the ocean, you're going to get bounced around a lot, and it's just bloody tiring. So you know, make it up. Make your own mind up. That's why you need to decide what mission is suitable for you. Maxwell winch, foot control just here. Obviously, you can apply multiple missions to that, but in Europe, you might want to be pulling some lines in. Storage, massive Barbie just under here. That's like, I would argue, Australian style. Deep storage, deep storage, deep storage, sink just here. We're going to go through these hatches at the end of the video, because this is the lazarette. We have a forward equipment space. We've got a massive engine room, and the aft lazarette, we're going to go into all of them, but we'll just leave that to the end of the video. And so this wraparound seating might be another space that you want to enjoy. Remember, both this spot and the one on the upper deck both have protection from the wind. So depending on where you are, just factor that in. And I was talking about the surfboards. If you are going to do a surf safari, I would argue some stainless steel racks mounted under here. Look how much headroom we have. You could actually do a stainless steel rack of like yay depth, and then come in with your surfboards and dump, 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 dump. Same thing with like fishing rods, that sort of stuff. So this seems like a logical place, because then you're going to go from here, deploy straight into the water. You might be getting on your tender to zoom out to a reef, go surfing, have a good time. So you can see if we're running lines aft, springs forward, we don't have to cross the lines, nothing gets too confusing. We can actually store the paravanes in here. And as I mentioned, this is all, it's essentially, it's category A offshore. So everything is designed for the ocean. But come on inside. With Nordhavn, you can do a lot of customization. So you can also choose the interior timber, finishings, and layout. So what you see here is what this particular owner decided, but you can do a couple little customizations. And I might even throw a few ideas as we walk through the boat. And if you can jump into the comments and let us know what you think, that would be handy as well. We will talk pricing. Get into that on my Patreon channel. I'll leave a link to that down below in the description. This is where the dry stack exhaust goes. And essentially, we've got these marble countertops and deep storage all the way along here, except for here where we have a pop-up TV. Remember, you're going to want all of this storage, because you might just decide to stay somewhere for 2 months, and you could literally do that with the genset running as you see fit. We have 2 gensets, a day genset and a night genset on this boat, should you need. So we've got storage underneath the stairs. We've got some drawers there, formal dining, and it's worth noting that down the center line, you can hold on here, you can hold on there. This is a suitable place to hold on, and then moving your way into the galley, plenty of options too. So I might even just open this to let some more light in. Hopefully the camera has adjusted for you guys to see properly. But we did test operating in the galley yesterday in the ocean. We also walked around and we did an engine room check with a following C and a beam C. We had a meter to a couple of meters at times with the stabilizers on, just to see what it was like. And even our drink bottles and coffee cups didn't actually slide around. So just take that for what it is, because it's not going to be possible on a lot of boats. Obviously, the rougher the conditions, the less or the more attentive you have to be. Just come on in. And that's why the design caters for that. For these fiddles allow you to do exactly that. So you can put pots and pans if you're cooking, and the fiddles will hold everything in place. We actually have, this is obviously our coffee machine, but it slides away behind here. There's storage, same again on that side. So for toasters, coffee machines, and all of your electrical items, they actually will just go in here and store, and then you can keep everything clean and tidy for when you go to sea, or if you just want to keep things looking good. And we got overhead storage, the air sucky thing for the millet, 4-burner cooktop, all the drawers, probably cutting boards under here, more drawers. We actually have a dishwasher in here, access underneath here, storage, drawers, pantry. I'd be doing pots and pans, because deeper, okay, in terms of that space just there. Pantry up here, convection microwave oven, fridge, freezer, another one underneath the stairs. That's a drawer fridge just there, and all of your glassware will go happily above here. So oodles and oodles and oodles of storage on this vessel. So I think what we'll do from here, we'll start making our way down to the accommodation, because this one's got a full beam master, and it's quite lovely. So full beam master forward. And I guess you would want to consider, if you're looking at a Nordhavn, I personally love this design. It just looks, in my mind, the way a trawler yacht would or should look. But you need to do you. So this is what this channel is all about. And if you perhaps wanted the bridge forward on some of the other Nordhavn designs, which it is possible, that allows you to do the tender aft and then the accommodation in terms of the master cabin aft. And it's, you know, depending on how you see your life or your mission evolving, that may or may not suit you. So what we have, we've got deep storage in here. Actually, close that. Deep storage in here, hanging locker, huge amount of storage. These are all drawers. We've got the fiddle here. These ports will actually open. So remember how I was pointing out the deck hatches, which are just above my head, there, and there. Yes, they will allow natural air ventilation, but I would argue with these huge big ports, remember to close them before you go to sea. If you're here for a long period of time, you're going to get an amazing amount of cross-flow ventilation in here. So it just may or may not be necessary to use those. You do you. More storage, lots of storage, lots of storage. You could mount a TV here, but this is quite deep. We've got very, very deep drawers underneath the bed. See how large those are. So great for cushions and bedding. Remember, people using these boats need to prepare for all seasons. This is not just a summer boat. You're going to take a boat like this to Patagonia. You might take it to the Mediterranean. I mean, this owner, I was looking on this multifunctional display upstairs. He's been to New Zealand, he's been to New Caledonia, he's been to Fiji, he's been to Tasmania, all over. I'm just looking going, oh my God, this is the dream. This is what we all want to do. And I can see the evidence on your chart plotter. So it's pretty cool. So lots more storage with all of these drawers, deep bedside tables, more storage behind there, another big locker in there. So it's really designed for long-term comfortable liveaboard. And then you come in here, this is the best head on the boat. Underneath this is the equipment space forward. We're going to come back to that later in the video, but you've got your full separate stand-up shower in there, storage in here, lots of space to move around, oodles of storage along here, down the port side, again, just over here, opening ports on both sides. So we have 4 opening ports, another escape hatch and opening hatch just above. And then you have another door here. Come in and have a look, and the head's in here. So that's kind of functional. So 2 people can be using this space should you need. Storage behind, storage behind. So long-term operation, more storage behind there and there is all possible. So yeah, very livable space. And for your guest accommodation, we go down a level. Before we do, everywhere in the boat is accessible. So if I just twist that, you have a look, just quickly have a look down there. Look at how much space. That's just a little highlight. We'll come back to this later in the video because there's so much to talk about. Sight gauges. If you're an owner operator, you will appreciate a boat like this. 24 volt DC panel here, 230 volt panel here, 27 kilowatt genset operation here, 11 kilowatt genset operation here. This is telling us where we are receiving our power from here, and this is allowing us to select where we are going to send that power. So if we're going to draw the power from the ship, i.e. the generator, we could do that, or we could take it from the shore and send it in that way. So here's the guest accommodation, and I'm going to show you this one first. You probably referred to this as the VIP. So we have this double bed. No, it's more like a queen size. These ports overhead give you a nice view. There is some blinds that pop down. We've got a proper locker. That's like almost like a walk-in wardrobe. And then on both sides of the bed, we've got deep drawers. Just pop the camera in there and have a look at the shower and head compartment, because it is perfect for serious long-term liveaboard. And then this guest cabin, I would argue if you were customizing this, you might also just consider putting another queen or double bed in here and then a Pullman on the side. But again, you do you, but we have a lot of space. I feel like you could almost use this as another office or a kid's play area. There's so much space should you need, but we've got storage underneath this bed. As you can see, this bed's beamier. It's almost a double, and this is quite a big, comfortable single. I actually slept on this bed last night, so I know how comfortable it is. And we got our hanging locker just in here. And all of these vents, you'll see them around the boat. They're actually the air conditioning outlets. I haven't turned that one on, but that's the air conditioning outlets. And through here is the main engine. So I think that's what we're going to have to focus on next. Before we go in, I better quickly show you the other head. So remember, we've got the day head upstairs. This is also, you could argue, the main day head, because we have the separate shower here, head, vanity area. That is for that cabin, but everyone can come down these stairs and use it. So if you've been swimming, you could enter on those side doors next to the galley. If you've got wet feet, come down the stairs straight in here and into the shower, and you're not going to walk wet feet through the saloon. In here and here, we actually have washer, dryer, and then storage for all your laundry. So just didn't want to forget to tell you about that. So guys, we're in the forward mechanical space, and we're just going to point out what's on board this boat, bearing in mind you can do a lot of customization. So it's kind of like you do you. But this is essentially a sounder. This one will lower and raise to do some forward sounding should you need. This is part of the water purification system here. The primary use of this space, it's actually to access the bow thruster tunnel. So hopefully you guys can see that's the bow thruster tunnel there with the hydraulics going to it. So that's its primary purpose. As is pretty obvious, this is the hot water service for the boat. So it's a massive hot water system. We used it ourselves today, it works fine. But yeah, so that's for catering to multiple people. You can see a fireboy system in and under there. You can see other through-hole fittings. In terms of, looks like we've got a water transfer system here. If I grab the camera, Blaine, can you explain what we're looking at just here?
So we've got a DC, 24 volt DC water pump and an AC water pump there. So we've got redundancy. And then up forward, there's another hydraulic water pump, which can act as a bilge pump or your anchor wash.
Okay, and I can also see this looks like a manual emergency bilge pump just there, lever action, is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, and have I missed anything? If I just go around to starboard, that looks like some filtration for the water system just there. Oh, I'm just ducking down my head, and that's the hydraulics up forward. So that's that space. And now we're under the stairs, guys. We've got a hatch there, and the stairs actually lift up. And if I grab the camera, so these are the stairs going from the pilot house down to the accommodation. But as you can now see, that big pump is actually for discharging the holding tanks. And then you can actually see the sight gauge for the main tank just here, and you just put you just press down on that yellow lever so you can get an accurate depiction of what's in the tank. You can also see things like the pilot house AC cooling strainer, wiring looms as well, and you could physically get in and work in that space. There's plenty room in there to do so. So now we are in the guest cabin starboard, or the VIP cabin. If you open the locker aft and then lift the floor up, this actually gives you access to the starboard stabilizer, okay? So that's fin stabilization, and the port side is accessible through the engine room, but because of the design of the layout, you need to get into the starboard side through this space just here. Okay, so this is the aft lazarette. We can access this via the engine room through a small door, or we got these two big hatches here. This one has a ladder. It's almost stand-up room. It's not stand-up. It's really on your knees. So you could actually just keep a pair of knee pads if you want to be doing some consistent work down here to make life easier for yourself. That is the crouch door. Obviously, that is a watertight bulkhead coming from the engine room, which we're going to go to in a second. This is the smaller genset, or the night genset, 17 kVA. And then we're moving our way around the port aft quarter of the boat. So we've got all our cruise air just there. That black tank up on the bulkhead is air pressure for pumping up fenders and toys. We're then now moving to the center line where we've got all the rudder gear. See how it's, just a sec, I'll get around. It's huge. It's also protected, and there is facility for an emergency tiller similar to a sailing yacht. You just go through this inspection port here, and then you slot an emergency tiller straight onto the rudder stock there for backup steering. Bearing in mind we do have multiple autopilots. And now we're looking at the stern thruster, hydraulics, same as the bow, and we do have the possibility to bleed air. So if you were out of the water and there was a pocket of air causing cavitation in the stern thruster, you can actually just open up that seacock and bleed the air out, so you get proper thrust. Now we've got the desalination system. We're actually looking at sand filters just here and there. So this setup allows you to not require pickling of the desalination system when you leave the boat. And then you can see we've got the ultraviolet water purifiers there. I'm told that that does something important. Anyone who knows more than me about that, please jump in the comments because I don't really know. And then we look at the Flybridge system. Obviously, lots and lots of space for spare fuel, spares. But now we're looking at the Glendenning retractors and the buckets that feed the cables from the transom. And then we've got the inverter chargers up on the bulkhead here, and behind them on shelves is all the battery banks and the engine, the extractor fans for this compartment, not the engine room, for this compartment is above. And now we're looking at power distribution and battery bank switches. And here is the oil change system, or the oil change manifold on the forward bulkhead just there for an oil change. So I think I've got the air conditioning on in the engine room. So I think it's almost cool enough now that we've shut it down for me to go in and spend a bit of time with you. So we're doing this back at the marina because we wanted to shut down the engine because it is hot in here. However, this space is air conditioned. Overhead, and Blaine and I, we might talk as we go here in case I forget anything, because I know this is important. Overhead, you could remove these panels here if you actually needed to remove the motor, but these things have a huge amount of life because dry stack exhaust and closed loop cooling system via the keel. We're running 2 alternators. I think it's about 175 amp hours each, so huge amount of power available to us from the main engine. However, we also have the wing engine here over on starboard. Okay, so the wing engine, obviously it's used for emergencies, but we also use it as backup power for the hydraulics. So if we want to run the thrusters at our maximum capacity and just want to have total confidence that we've got enough hydraulic available, we fire that up when we're maneuvering around the dock. However, we don't need it to run the thrusters. It's still possible to do it off the main engine. So starboard side, obviously, we got workbench here. We have storage. That's the AC control. This is another main engine throttle. So that's emergency main engine start, and we got the throttle here, possibly also useful for servicing. You can see we can even have access to a hose here for cleaning out. We can get underneath the floors. Everything is accessible. So you can see the contours of the hull going down to the full keel below. Then if we make our way on the port side, we can actually see a lot of the filters. So we've got Raycor filters everywhere, and it's dual filter system, so you can select one to the other, and they're all for individual tanks, but I'll just show you the port tank. If you come over here, Blaine, you can see the sight gauge. Every tank has a sight gauge, and you just put your hand on that lever on the bottom. There's a yellow lever. You just press down on it, and then that allows you to check the true state of the tank. This is the port side fin stabilization. So we saw the starboard side accessible through the cupboard in the cabin before. Now we're looking at the fuel polishing system here. Blaine, I've forgotten what this is.
They're decontaminators.
Okay, all right, decontaminators. And then we have another sight gauge just here. This is your primary gen set, which we've been running all day. So we have the night gen set back aft. We got the Flybridge system in here. I'm just going to lift up so you can see through hole fittings, AC cooling, generator strainer, wing engine, inlet, all accessible. All of these floor panels are accessible. We have another manual bilge pump just here. We got more refrigeration, engine extractor cooling fans, batteries. Let's get under the floor again. Again, you can see the contours of the hull, and everything is accessible. That's typical Nordhavn, because these are boats that have been designed essentially to last longer than you. All the wiring looms, everything is accessible. Over here on the starboard side, I just allow you to see how much space you've got for spares, oils, etc. What am I looking at here? That looks like a day tank or for the generator.
That's
Is
the
that correct?
hydraulic pack. No, that's the day tank for the
For the wing engine.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon.
and then
Thank you very
hydraulic
much.
pack there.
And hydraulic pack. Okay. Main pressure, case drain, and return line is all across here. I'm starting to heat up, but before we leave, and Dan gets too hot, it's worth pointing out, moving your way around the engine in a seaway. We did test this yesterday in a seaway is safe because you have these stainless steel rails here. So you you're not going to fall onto the engine, onto the hot engine. And just have a look at the stainless steel engine mounts. It's been designed to last. And this is a pleasant place to come down and do your regular engine checks, but also do your own servicing, which all Nordhavn people are going to do. I'm too hot, so we've got to get out of here. Guys, I hope that was of use to you if you're in the market for one of these, or if you just like Nordhavns, because let's face it, everyone, or a lot of guys, have a Nordhavn on their vision board, including me. Next up, sea trial. We are putting this boat through her paces. Blaine and I, it's a team effort. Driving a boat like this is certainly not a solo operator. We're going to share with you what we learn. We're taking her around the Broadwater, doing some parking demonstrations, putting the tender in the water and going out to sea, dropping the anchor as well. So if you're interested in behind the scenes, how these things are to live aboard and operate, that is coming up next. And if you're trying to understand who is the demographic of person who will see the most value in owning a boat like this, in my personal observation, please jump in the comments if you have a different opinion. That's what the channel is all for. I genuinely believe it's someone with a serious life-changing adventure in mind. If you have that dream to go and explore the world, wherever that is for you, if you want to basically live off grid, if you want to cruise at sensible cruising speeds, very low fuel consumption for long periods of time, and just be confident that the boat underneath you is going to take you wherever the hell you want to go. That's the concept behind a Nordhavn, okay? These things are built tough, they are tough, and they last a long time. They're built to last longer than you. This boat is not a brand new hull. It's over 10 years old. Jump in the comments and just let me know what you observe, because in my impression, this is the kind of boat I would like to end my boat life with, because I can see so much value in doing some life-changing adventures. I'm not there yet, but I can still see how that would work. So guys, hope that was useful. If you own a Nordhavn, if you are a Nordhavn fan, if you can educate people in the comments who are asking good questions, please contribute. This is a community. We ain't selling the boats here on the channel. We're just discovering them. So I really, really enjoy when other guys are getting in there, asking questions, and other owners or people with experience can answer those questions if I haven't got a chance to get around to it myself. That's what this community is for, and I really value it. So please keep doing it. We're going to talk pricing. You can post questions over on my Patreon. But coming up next, sea trial video. Love you lots, coming from sunny and warm Queensland. See you in the next one.